They say time forgets nothing. But what if time itself keeps secrets? It began long before our time, in a world now lost to dust and silence. The story you're about to hear was almost erased from history. But some secrets refuse to stay buried. This is TimeVault. Introduction. The Riddle of Ancient Civilizations. The annals of history have witnessed the emergence of beings that seemed long ago written and unrevised. Archaeological finds typically merely refine and clarify established notions about the dawn of civilization, with Mesopotamia and ancient Egypt occupying a place of honor as pioneers. Documents discovered during excavations most often confirm traditional chronological frameworks, reinforcing the belief in the linear and continuous development of society. However, there are artifacts that confound this coherent picture of the world, leading to doubts about the immutability of historical dogmas. These are ancient megaliths, silent witnesses to eras that, according to conventional chronology, should never have produced anything like them. These grandiose structures appeared long before the Sumerians founded their cities or the Egyptians began constructing their remarkable pyramids. Their very existence challenges our knowledge of the past and forces us to rethink the entire history of humanity. One of the most striking and enigmatic discoveries of this kind is the Göbekli Tepe temple complex, located in the southeast of modern-day Turkey. This monumental complex of skillfully crafted stone pillars decorated with animal reliefs dates back to the 9th-10th millennia CE. This means it is thousands of years older than the Great Pyramids of Giza and Stonehenge. Such a chronology seems improbable, as in that distant era, humanity had not yet emerged from the Stone Age as a generally accepted custom. People were engaged exclusively in hunting and gathering. The construction of such a large-scale and complex undertaking required not only the introduction of stone-cutting technologies, but also a high level of social organization, capable of sustaining the efforts of, if not thousands, of people. The existence of Göbekli Tepe proves that long before the advent of agriculture and the first cities of civilization, people possessed remarkable discoveries and skills. Despite their obvious innovativeness, they struggled to find their way into school and university textbooks. The world stubbornly clings to a familiar picture of the past which has no place for such anomalous phenomena. The reasons for this multifaceted conservatism range from academic inertia to a reluctance to reconsider the fundamental concepts upon which modern historical knowledge rests. Understanding the existence of a highly developed civilization in a distant era would require such a radical re-examination of the entire history of human development. But, as the master of universal wisdom has it, history is not only facts, but also the ability to see them. And it is precisely this ability that allows us today to tap into the elegant mysteries of the past, hidden in the silent stones of Göbekli Tepe and other ancient megaliths, unraveling the mystery of a civilization that disappeared in the last century. Ancient megaliths. Who built them and where?
Long before the Egyptian and Sumerian civilizations arose on the banks of the Nile and Mesopotamia, grandiose stone structures, unique as megaliths, had already risen across the planet. Their silent grandeur challenges preconceptions about the past, prompting a rethinking of the capabilities and knowledge of ancient peoples. Central to these mysteries is the Göbekli Tepe temple complex, located in southeastern Turkey. Its 12,000-year-old age makes it the oldest known large megalithic structure in the world. For various reasons, the builders of this monumental complex were not sedentary farmers, but hunter-gatherers of the Mesolithic era. This fact radically changes the established notion of primitive societies, as the creation of such structures requires not only incredible physical capabilities, but also a structured social organization, planning, and a unified ideology. Göbekli Tepe is a system of concentric stone circles centered on massive T-shaped columns up to 5 meters high, covered with elaborate animal reliefs, boars, snakes, and birds. The purpose of these structures remains a source of scholarly debate. The most widespread theory regarding its layout holds that Göbekli Tepe was a ritual and cult center, possibly the first temple in human history, where people flocked from vast territories to perform rituals. Other hypotheses suggest that the complex may have served as an ancient observatory for observing the stars, as indicated by certain symbols on the columns, which can be correlated with a map of the constellations of that time. There are also theories about its use as a place for healing or magical rituals aimed at overcoming the fear of death. One can only imagine a scene from a distant night thousands of years ago. In the firelight, shadows flit across the figures carved into the stones. Groups of people united by a common faith, walking in these stone circles, discussing the movements of the stars and the forces of nature. Here, at the foot of massive columns, the first myths and cosmogonic ideas were born, laying the foundations of a culture that predates by millennia what we have come to call the cradle of civilization. These mysterious stones bear witness to the fact that the history of human society is far more complex and profound than most textbooks suggest, and still holds many unsolved mysteries. The Varna and Vinča cultures, Europe's forgotten origins. When it comes to cradle civilizations, Sumer and Egypt spring to mind. However, long before them, in the heart of Europe, astonishing cultures flourished, whose achievements remain baffling to historians today. These little-known chapters of the past reveal the Varna and Vinča cultures, which were several millennia ahead of their time. Their existence proves that the center of development of the ancient world was not solely in the east. The Varna culture flourished in what is now Bulgaria around 4500 BC. Its greatest treasure, both literally and figuratively, was gold. The Varna necropolis, discovered by chance only in 1972, yielded the world's oldest examples of gold artifacts. The total weight of the finds exceeded 6 kilograms, and their age predates the treasures of Egypt and Mesopotamia. These intricate ornaments and symbols of power found in tombs testify not only to the mastery of metalworking industries, but also to a complex social hierarchy. The presence of rich burials of ornaments, including those of chieftains or priests, suggests a higher level of social organization, which we have been able to associate with later civilizations. Even earlier, From approximately 5500 to 4000 BC, the Vinča culture flourished in the Balkans. Its representatives, among the first in the world, began to master medicine, ushering in the Copper Age in Europe hundreds of years earlier than had previously been the case. They built large settlements, practiced agriculture, and created amazing ceramics. But the greatest mystery of the Vinča culture remains its symbols. Numerous artifacts have been found containing enigmatic signs, which many researchers believe to be one of the oldest scripts in the world. These symbols, which appeared long before Sumerian cuneiform, are barely mentioned in modern textbooks, yet their existence radically changes our understanding of written language. This culture didn't simply vanish without a trace. There are rumors and hypotheses that their accumulated knowledge of metallurgy, social organization, and perhaps even writing could have formed the foundation for later great civilizations. However, likely due to some catastrophe or series of cataclysms, this knowledge was largely lost, and the culture itself was forgotten for 1,000 years, leaving behind only the glitter of the most ancient gold and undecipherable scripts that defy the traditional chronology of history.
Riddles of poisoning, catastrophes, and the erased pages of history. What could possibly wipe out entire societies that achieved such an impressive level of development thousands of years before the official dawn of civilization? This question distracts us from conventional historical narratives, focusing instead on bold hypotheses, yet supported by disturbing material evidence. The answer may ultimately be obscured, leading to a catastrophe whose memory was either lost or deliberately erased from the annals. Across the planet, researchers are encountering artifacts that defy the linear model of history. Among them, the megaliths of Siberia and Central Asia hold a special place, bearing silent witness to tragedies. Many ancient stone blocks bear strange signs of melting and extensive scorched marks. This damage suggests exposure to extremely high temperatures, which cannot be explained by either primitive technologies or ordinary phenomena like forest fires. Such discoveries support scientists' hypotheses about powerful explosions or anomalous cataclysmic phenomena capable of melting stone. The most radical theories suggest traces of ancient wars using unprecedented weapons based on thermonuclear strikes, which is explained by the distinctive nature of the destruction. Another, no less ambitious hypothesis points to a global flood. The idea of a global flood, long considered a myth, has found unexpected confirmation in archaeology. For example, excavations of ancient Mesopotamian cities such as Tel Farah have revealed thick layers of silt and clay beneath known cultures, indicating a catastrophic flood. These so-called flood layers indicate that the ruins of Sumerian settlements may contain the remains of an even more ancient, aquatic civilization. Why are such significant facts not adequately reflected in official chronologies and textbooks? Perhaps the inertia of the scientific paradigm itself lies at the root of this problem. The recognition of the existence of highly developed civilizations before Sumer and Egypt required a complete rethinking of fundamental concepts of human history. This may be due both to the scientific community's reluctance to abandon established theories and to the conscious discovery of information that could radically alter our view of the past. The old story of the skeptical scientist who, upon seeing an irrefutable document, declared, "This can't be," because it could never be. It's precisely this approach that often prevents us from accepting discoveries that challenge familiar and comfortable assumptions about entire chapters of human history being erased and untold.
Why is so little known about ancient civilizations? The fundamental reason why knowledge about the most ancient megalithic cultures and early European civilizations is virtually absent from textbooks and mainstream scholarship lies in a deeply entrenched historical model. This model, shaped by influences, assigns the role of cradle of civilization exclusively to Sumer and Egypt. Their achievements are traditionally considered the parental view for all cultural indicators, and any discoveries not recorded in the chronology were long perceived as anomalies or local phenomena, not attracting global attention. Scientific conservatism plays a key role in this process. Historical science, like any other, is built on theories and concepts developed by generations of scholars. New data, especially those capable of radically changing accepted ideas, inevitably leads to problems with resistance. The realization that highly organized societies with advanced technologies and structural social structures existed thousands of years before Sumer required a revision not only of chronology, but also of humanity's own foundations. This is a complex and painful process, as it devalues the work of many serious scholars and requires a restructuring of the entire educational system.
The impact of social and financial circumstances cannot be ignored. History is not only a science, but also a part of national identity and ideology. Narratives of the past shape certain ideas about the role of certain peoples and regions in the development of Europe. Models that point to a single direction in the origins of civilization may be supported by political or cultural views, while alternative perspectives that point to multiple centers of development remain on the periphery. History knows of important examples where breakthrough archaeological discoveries were long ignored. For example, the confirmation of evidence for the existence of the Indus Valley civilization or the discovery of Troy were long dismissed by serious academic communities because they contradicted established views. A similar fate befell information about the Varna and Vinča cultures, which, despite the obvious originality of their artifacts, remain the preserve of a small circle of specialists. As one renowned researcher noted, truth is like light among shadows, often unnoticed. Gradually, under the weight of irrefutable facts, the scientific community is beginning to acknowledge that human history is far more complex and multifaceted than is commonly believed.
Summary and reflections. Summing up the presented facts, we inevitably come to the conclusion of the urgent need to reconsider established historical development. The discovery of recent agreements expands the boundaries of history by recognizing that the cradle civilization was much broader and more diverse than commonly believed. The existence of such grandiose megalithic complexes as Göbekli Tepe, built thousands of years before the Egyptian pyramids, radically changes our understanding of the capabilities of prehistoric humans. These findings demonstrate that so-called primitive hunter-gatherers possessed the robust social organization, profound spiritual knowledge, and technological skills necessary to carry out large-scale construction projects requiring colossal collective efforts. The emergence of highly developed European cultures, such as Varna and Vinča, also challenges the Eurocentric model of the past. The existence of copper metallurgy, proto-writing, and social hierarchy in Europe, long before the rise of Sumer and Egypt, speaks to the independent and distinctive development of these peoples. This allows us to imagine a world with multiple centers of progress, where innovations were born in different corners of the planet, and humanity moved forward not in a single linear flow, but along vast parallel and possibly intersecting paths. What if these early centers of civilization formed a global network of which we know nothing?
Studying these erased pages of history teaches us important lessons. First, it is a lesson in the fragility of civilization. The traces of catastrophe, whether natural disasters or unknown social upheavals, remind us that even the most advanced societies can disappear, leaving behind only mysterious ruins and undecipherable symbols. Second, it is a lesson in scientific conservatism, which sometimes prevents us from accepting facts that don't fit into our conventional worldview. The reluctance to include these discoveries in textbooks and scholarly discussions impoverishes our understanding of the past and hinders the further search for truth. Let's imagine for a moment what the legacy of vanished worlds might have been if their development had not been interrupted. Perhaps we would have inherited different social models, philosophical concepts, and technologies based on harmony with nature rather than its subjugation. By studying these forgotten civilizations, we are not simply justifying curiosity, we are seeking alternative paths of development and attempting to understand the fundamental laws of the rise and fall of society. As one researcher put it, truth is like light among shadows, often unnoticed. Our task is not to fear this light. After all, knowledge of the past, in all its complexity and ambiguity, is truly the key to understanding our path forward. It was just one story, hidden inside the vault of time.